This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 437. Eyelashes are not utensils, or 8 Strategies to Eat Mindfully, Part 2, by Neghar Fonooni of negharfonooni.com, and I'm Dr. Neil. Hey there, happy Tuesday, and welcome back to Optimal Health Daily, where I simply read to you from the best health and fitness blogs for free. I cover fitness, nutrition, stress management, weight management, and more, just like an audiobook, but from a bunch of different authors, and always with permission from the sites. And I am so due to give you an inspirational quote. So here we go. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not someone else today. Jordan B. Peterson. Now today's post is part 2 from yesterday. So if you're new here or skipping around, I'd recommend listening to yesterday's episode first. That's episode 436. But if you're all caught up, let's hear part 2 and continue optimizing your life. Eyelashes are not utensils, or 8 Strategies to Eat Mindfully, Part 2, by Neghar Fonooni of negharfonooni.com. When I think about the methods my dad used to scare me into cleaning my plate, it reminds me of one of the simplest and most effective ways I can strive to eat mindfully. Just because there's food on my plate doesn't mean I need to eat it. Simple and effective indeed, but due to our complex psychological food triggers, it isn't always the easiest thing to implement. It's not so easy to just stop cleaning your plate, is it? Think back to your recent culinary experiences. How many times did you continue to eat something after you were full, simply because it was there? If you're anything like me or the thousands of folks I've worked with, chances are you have. Chances are you're eating more than you really need, simply because you were taught to clean your plate as well. Despite all of my work in the mindful eating realm, I had a plate cleaning experience just yesterday. I was out to brunch with my husband and our pups, visiting my favorite local eatery in Venice Beach. I ordered a Lean and Lovely approved meal, poblano chili frittata, and a side of the world's best bacon. Not an exaggeration. About 3/4 of the way through the meal, I was painfully aware of my fullness cues, and I mean that in the literal sense, given the stomachache I was experiencing. I knew if I stopped then, I'd have enough to take home for a second brunch, but for whatever reason, I was unable to stop myself, until I'd passed the point where taking the rest home even made sense. Alas, it was just so good that I kept going past the point of no return. Even after years of the practice of eating mindfully, I still struggle sometimes. Just because I've developed a resistance to overeating doesn't mean I'm immune. I told you, this stuff is really hard. Anyone that tells you this stuff is easy is either delusional, insensitive, or has simply never experienced it for themselves, which in a way makes them pretty lucky, but it doesn't help you, does it? Controlling your portions and learning not to clear your plate is an ongoing challenge, especially while dining out. But you can learn to eat mindfully and still enjoy your food while enjoying a healthy body. You can learn to develop overeating resilience by consistently practicing strategies that prove successful for you. The following are what I have found to be very successful strategies for mindful eating, and I encourage you to experiment with them to find the path on which you feel most comfortable. While at home. 1. Use smaller plates. I always like to eat off salad plates or small bowls as opposed to dinner plates. It encourages more reasonable portions. Once I'm done, I can always get more if I'm still hungry, but this way I don't feel the need to clean an unnecessarily large plate. 2. Use the first bite rule. This is a mindful eating strategy that requires you to pay very close attention to how your food tastes. I believe that food is equal parts pleasure and sustenance, and one need not suffer for either. With the first bite rule, you pay attention to how every bite makes you feel, and stop eating once the bites don't taste as amazing as the first. 3. Sit your butt down. I am constantly catching my husband standing in front of an open fridge. He's doing what he calls foraging, but what I call mindless eating. No judgment, of course, it's working for him. But if you're the type of person who has difficulty with portions and listening to fullness cues, eating in the kitchen or in the car or at your desk or straight from the fridge probably isn't your best bet. So sit down. Do nothing else when you eat, except to eat, and perhaps engage in some conversation if you're accompanied during meals. This helps ritualize and not habitualize eating, as my dear friend Dr. Jillian Teta says. 4. Put your fork down. You don't need to white-knuckle those utensils while you chew. Setting your fork down allows you to take the time necessary to chew, taste, and be mindful about your bites because it takes away the anticipation of the next bite. 5. Hold your fork in your non-dominant hand. Continental style is widely used in Europe as it was once considered a more graceful style of eating, considering that you don't need to constantly change your fork from one hand to the other in between cutting. However, it also boasts a considerable benefit with regards to mindful eating. It forces you to slow down. Trust me, eating with your non-dominant hand is a lot harder than you think. While dining out, 1. Get a doggy bag. When you order your meal, ask your server to bring a to-go box when the meal is served. Immediately, before eating, place half your meal inside. This way, when you do clean your plate, you're only eating what you need. The obvious bonus here is that if you get hungry later, you've got a second dinner. And who doesn't love a second dinner? 2. Drink it up. Ask for a full glass of room temperature water upon being seated, or sip on hot tea or a broth based on soup before your meal arrives. This stimulates your fullness cues and will help keep you from wanting to overeat in the first place. 3. Share a plate. Most restaurants are happy to bring out an extra plate so that you can share your steak with your dining companion. Or in my case, John and I order a meal and he automatically gets half of mine, one of the many benefits of having an uber buff husband. 4. Throw a napkin on top. I owe this tip to my dear friend Jill Coleman of JillFit and fellow co-founder of our annual Radiance Retreat. Sometimes you'll find yourself full and your server might not be available to clear the table. If you're anything like me, you're likely to mindlessly consume the food that's sitting in front of you. Putting a napkin over your plate once you're satisfied automatically puts the food out of sight and out of mind until you can get your table cleared. You can live a joyful life full of incredible food without all the stress and guilt that comes with dieting, binging, restricting, and rebounding. And you absolutely don't have to clean your plate or pick up food with your eyelashes. Thank goodness. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled, Eyelashes Are Not Utensils, or 8 Strategies to Eat Mindfully, by Neghar Fonooni of negharfonooni.com. Well, Ms. Fonooni and I definitely have something in common. When I'm dining out, and my wife hasn't finished her meal, and it's just sitting there, and we're waiting for the server to clean our tables, I will pick at her food. I may have cleaned my plate. I may have licked the plate clean. But if my wife has something that's still left over, I'll begin picking at it. Am I full? Yeah, probably. So why am I doing it? I don't know. It's there. So yes, it happens to the best of us. And like I always say, I'm not perfect. I'm human too. And so doing some of these behaviors takes work for me as well. What I've realized when I've tried mindful eating is that I don't really take well to putting my fork down between bites. That doesn't seem to work for me. But what does work for me is immediately ordering a glass of water and then taking sips from it before my meal arrives. And in order to avoid that kind of picking behavior that I've developed where I'm stabbing at my wife's plate and picking food from her, what I'll do is I'll actually physically move the plates to the far side of the table, move them away so that it takes a little bit more effort for me to reach. And I simply won't do that. If it's too far for me to reach, I probably won't do the behavior. And I'm guessing you won't either. So don't feel as though you need to incorporate all of these tips that we share with you. So maybe you'll pick one or two, the one or two that feel most comfortable for you. And as always, if you do those consistently, it becomes a new habit. And really quickly before I go, if you want to be part of a group of like-minded people and interact with some of the hosts of our shows, join our Facebook group. You can find it by searching for Optimal Living Daily Podcasts on Facebook, or the shortcut link is oldpodcast.com/Facebook. We do bonus book giveaways there and a lot more. Thank you as always for being here. Thank you for listening every day and all the way to the end. I hope you're having a great week so far. We'll see you here tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this show and Optimal Living Daily, the brother podcast of this one. Literally, I'm Dr. Neil's brother. If you like the format of this show, you'll love Optimal Living Daily too, where I also read to you from blogs, but cover other topics like personal development, finance, and minimalism from bloggers like Derek Sivers, The Minimalists, Zen Habits, and many more. So for more amazing content read to you for free, come subscribe to Optimal Living Daily too, and together we'll optimize your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Health Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's oldpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.